Right on time.
Hello, it's 7 o'clock and we're going to have our Monday night meeting here on Thursday evening. And I just want to publicly thank the staff for doing an absolutely wonderful job of putting together a holiday event. And I don't know how many people there were, but it was pretty packed. And we did have Dale Reno and his crew all come and spend some good time with people. So thank you.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. I'm gonna start, and hopefully this will be a short meeting. I know everybody wants to go and enjoy the holidays. I'll begin with our warrant items. Payroll number 57. I'd like to make a motion that we approve for payroll 57 for $1,771.54. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'd like to move to approve accounts payable number 58 for $64,856.05. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I'd like to comment on that 64,000 because there are two big items. One of the items is a transfer station bill that we have, and that is for $27,165. And that is our, I believe, our quarterly bill from them, something that our town is part of. And the other thing is, this is a bill, $24,400 is for ambulance service. And I'm not sure that the town of Westport knows that we do have ambulance service. We individually pay, but the fact that we have an ambulance and somebody that's willing to come and as close as Wiscasset is a really positive thing. Without that, we'd be waiting for somebody to come from way out of town or whatever. So the ambulance service is a very positive asset for our town, and we do pay for that yearly.
And they also do shared service, so if somebody in Wiscasset can't cover a call, I believe it's Woolwich and Booth Bay, I think are the ones that they do.
And I just remembered I need to get something. I'll be right back.
Pause. We have some kids at this meeting. They're getting restless out there. Their voices are so cute. They've had a lot of sugar.
A lot of sugar.
Yeah, they're up at the dessert buffet.
Oh, no.
All right, I forgot my purple binder, which April does such a wonderful job of making sure I have every week. So I'd like to move to our second item, which is the minutes. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes of December 11th, 2023. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Here's the agenda. Want to share that with people? And we'll sign that.
Move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next item on the agenda is citizens issues. And we have in the audience today, we have Lou DeSalvo and Jim Cromwell and John McBee. Do any of you have any issues for us?
Not particularly, I'm just curious what's going on. Find it out, then I'll ask later.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. We do have a citizens issue. Somebody came to me last week and commented that they were concerned that, especially in the winter, when they're waiting for their turn to get their registration or whatever else, that it's kind of cold sitting in the car. And either you have the car running and then there's order. It's like, okay, did you see that I was already in the car, or now that you pulled up, are you gonna be the next one to grab a place? This past summer, a couple of times when I was out and about, I just happened, it was raining and somebody was trying to wait under that little tiny outside, and I sent them around to the community room, open that up, and I said, you can stay there until it's your turn, and I just let people know. So it is an issue, and I said I would bring it to the board I feel like it's probably an issue that really needs to be addressed with the staff, Dee Dee, Ashley, and April, but, we did talk just very briefly about it, and April, you had some thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think, so Ashley can do everything Dee Dee can do, and I can do one very simple thing that Dee Dee can do, but it's a very common thing. And we've been trying to help her with that, but because our offices are often in the back sometimes, Dee Dee doesn't have time to get up and be like, hello, I need help right now. And we are insulated back here, we don't know what's going on up front, so there is a, yeah.
And you also don't know what's happening outside.
And we have no idea what's happening
Yep.
outside. In the summertime, sometimes if I went out and saw people, I'd be like, is there anything I can help with? So I think we can be more proactive, Ashley and I, about going outside, actually being more conscious about going outside. But I think also maybe we could do something with the community room and encourage people to come in there and use it as a waiting room. So we'll definitely be aware of it if there's people waiting in there, and Ashley and I can go and offer people service, because I think, you know, previously we didn't have other staff backing up Dee Dee, and now we both can, and it should be faster for people.
Was that half door always there, or was that added for,
Before my time, I think it was because of COVID.
COVID? That's what I think
Yeah.
too, yeah.
But
in the window.
Yeah, and, yeah, so I'm wondering if,
Well, that little vestibule area is too small.
It's too
for
small
a
for
couple
more
more
than-
than two anyway.
oh, exactly, right.
So if we could get the
So, but
flow to
it's-
come.
Yeah, but it's not open, so people can't, there's nowhere to go if somebody's already in the vestibule and
Right,
somebody
you don't
comes
know it.
in.
Yeah.
Right, there's nowhere for them to go because that door's always in half.
Why
Well, it'd
can't
be
that door
nice.
be open when
Mhm.
they're here?
That's what I was
It can be.
wondering.
And
Yeah.
use the room as, like you say, as
Yeah.
a waiting room during the, there
Maybe.
really should be.
It's probably mostly winter time, I would
Right.
think, right? Is
Well-
the biggest issue.
If we move that little half door instead of, it's nice to have the door because we don't want people freely wandering up and down the hallway, because there's a lot of like confidential information in here, we're on the phone, there's people, you know. But we do want, if maybe we could do that half door sort of around the corner there, so where the hallway ends, there's a half door and people can, there's more of an L where people can sort of freely flow in and then go sit in the community
Where
room.
our gathering was for the most part, that end room, you know, that would be very good, out of the weather and so forth, and accommodate
Yeah, and
people,
it's
there's a
always warm.
restroom there, I guess. and
Exactly, too.
Maybe have even
Yep,
coffee.
yep.
In the winter time, it's dicey, because you could have a storm and they might have to slide past that deadline, to get there when it's safe to drive and all that, and, you
Yeah,
know,
Yeah, that's true.
just not be able to keep it quite like clockwork. So,
Right, and
and
you-
on the weather and all that, it's like a conversation had with West Casa Library staff, and
Mhm.
yeah, the book's due back on the 10th of January, but you know, they had a little,
Mhm.
books of it.
Yeah, well,
could
and
do
I
that
think
here.
people would use a community room more, and it would be more of a social place.
Sure.
Be thrown together with whoever randomly also needs to register.
Yep, and I know we didn't open that during COVID, then everybody had to meet outside. And you could at least see there are people outside, but I remember one time I pulled up and it was like, does everybody know that I'm in the car and I'm next? Somebody else pulls up and either they don't wanna wait
Or
or,
they have no idea. No,
Yeah.
I could see
Yeah,
that not
yeah,
being very
yeah.
clear.
but now we don't have the COVID issue and there's no reason you can't still keep 6 feet apart if you wanted to. But, so I'm gonna put it on to the staff. We'll have a conversation about that and figure out what to do with that, but I think it's definitely something that needs to be addressed. I'm glad it came up and, I will let that individual know that we're definitely working on it. So, great.
Yeah, the movement of the door would be the hardest thing that we couldn't really do.
I
Which
could
is-
volunteer to do that if that's the appropriate thing to do, I don't know if you can.
Problem solved.
Yep,
For nothing else.
we have
right off.
lots of volunteers, so,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if that's something you do in town, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Apparently It's supposed to be town.
That's all we do in this town.
Well, I know that, on the sides, but I mean, actual work.
yeah.
Well, if nothing else, tomorrow we can buy a little yellow tape and say,
Oh, yeah.
it's beyond this point. COVID things worse, you can have a limit on who's there, 6 feet apart, or press masks or
Yeah.
whatever, so I think it would work regardless.
Right,
Okay, try it out,
Yep.
see.
we could supply masks in the community room for people.
Yeah, and what we just have to figure out is if we have everybody start to come in the side door, if that's gonna be like the main entrance for people. We'll have to train people to do
Yeah.
that, but, you put on the sign on the door
sign,
and that's,
Yeah,
yeah,
if it's full, go around to the other entrance and wait.
yeah. But I think that will solve that, and also then it lets all of you know that there are people waiting.
Yep.
And that suffices.
Right.
All right, next item on the agenda is our website, and I know that somebody's been working really hard on it, so April?
Oh, yes, the website. Okay. So we have been on a long research journey for the last 6 to 8 months. And when I say we, I mean the Broadband and Technology Committee, which is me and Jeff and Ralph Jacobs and Jason Cates. Researching what would be the best thing to do for our website. And the problem with the website is that we had for a long time a very generous offer from one of our citizens who gave us free support on the website and put it together. He was a web developer. So we had a really great state-of-the-art website and for almost no money, which was very lucky. But he's moving on to other projects and he can't support that anymore. And the platform that he created it on is kind of a little bit obscure and a little bit hard to use. You have to kind of know how to code to really do everything you want to do. And I have a little bit of ability to add text and take text out, but not to like restructure it or change the menus or like really make changes when that needs to happen. So we looked into a lot of different possibilities. I think that's a child ringing the service bell. Guys, that's not a toy.
Yes, it is.
And we're closed
There
anyway.
goes my train of thought, story of my life.
Bunch of different websites.
Bunch of different websites.
Servers,
So, we did a really thorough review and actually we got quotes and we had demos. And so there's a few different companies that actually specialize in municipal websites and Civic Plus, Town Web, and what's the other one? I can't think of it right now. But we did 3 of those companies, which are very common in a lot of towns use. And they only do town websites, that's kind of their specialty. So they tend to be pretty pricey though. Their upfront costs are low, but their ongoing costs are very high. Like we're talking 3,000 to 5,000 a year, maybe a little more as you have add-ons. So we're not used to that in this town. We've been paying like $100 a year. And then we also looked at just local developers, because there's lots of people who will build you a WordPress site and give you some ongoing support for that as well. And those are like higher upfront costs, you know, $2,000, $3,000, and then ongoing lower costs for the support, but still $100 a month, something like that. So those are cheaper in the ongoing sense. And the other thing we looked at, which was actually the initial thing I brought to the board, was a Google site. So Google has a new app where you can build a website, and it's like so easy, anybody can do it. It's like as easy as putting together a PowerPoint to build a website. But it's considered very sort of simple and not high tech, and people who are snobs about websites are like, well, you can't do a lot of stuff with it. But it's very cheap, and we would have maximum control over our website. With the other options, we wouldn't have that much control. So we explored all this, and the takeaway is that pretty much anything we can do with those more expensive websites, we can do with a Google site, because you can have all these plugins and different apps that you can use on a Google site that will do all the same stuff. If we want to have people use credit cards and pay for things online, we can do that. We can do forms, we can do, you know, obviously display text and pictures and links and all the things we might possibly need to do. So at the end of the day, even though some of these options are really fancy and nice and would make things very easy, we decided for the price of a Google site, which is gonna come to, I mean, it's $12 a year is like the bare bones price, but then we're gonna add some memberships and stuff. So it'll probably be more like 150, 200, but we can have a very nice looking website with all the stuff we needed to do. And we'll have complete control over it. Anytime we need to change something, all of the staff will be able to do that because it's so simple. We won't have to call anybody. We won't have to wait for somebody. We won't have to deal with some big company. Hi guys. So that's what the Broadband and Technology Committee is recommending to the select board, that we go with the Google site. And if for any reason it doesn't meet our needs,
Right.
it will be very easy to transition to a WordPress site. cause it'll already be built, we'll be like, here it is. Take it away.
The parts
So
and
who's,
pieces.
who's gonna do the initial setup of the site, like who's, I'm just thinking it's more on, stuff on your plate, again, now.
I mean, it's pretty much set up, because in the process of doing these demos, I've been setting up our site to be like, can it do that? Oh, yeah, it can it do this? Oh, yeah, it
It's
can.
almost like, yeah.
Yeah, so the bones of it are there, and it will be like, I'll definitely, I estimate it'll take me about a week to transfer content from our current site. But it's just cutting and pasting, like it's nothing any really techy, I just take the text that I like and I move it over. And of course, it would be in cooperation with the other staff and what they wanna see, and, you know, ultimately with you guys, once we get it put together.
And
But
you've already been playing with Google for a good while.
yeah, we have a really good site already, it's pretty much almost ready to go.
Yeah. But, so, yeah.
As far as the security goes, no issues, just as long as you guys know the logins or.
Mhm. Yeah, they're all about equivalent. The Google site with any of the other ones, you get an SSL certificate with it, which is the like basic thing you're supposed to have. We have a .gov domain now,
Okay, so that's
which is
more.
even more secure.
Yeah.
But there wasn't any meaningful difference between a Google site and any of the other options we have.
Well, I would like to make a motion that we approve, the Google site and that, we allow you to get working on that. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. All right, you got work in front of you.
All right.
Something good to try out at least and
Yeah.
just see, you know, then we can
Yeah.
open up the kinks of the door.
Mhm.
This program.
She's been trying to encourage us to go that route for a long time. So after looking at everything else, we finally come back to the beginning. So next on our agenda is roads.
Roads,
Mr. Cromwell, anything to give us an update?
Monday, the roads are very soft. Today, the roads are very hard. Obviously, these storms have been, just Sunday into Monday every week.
Yeah.
This one was more tree damage than road washing, a little bit of wash. Randy Russell's been dealing with the wash. He did fill some potholes last week. The trees, he's got like another day of cleaning up debris.
Yeah.
There's still a tree, I guess, across Harriman Point. He cleared one out. And he drove in beyond that one, and there was a car parked there.
Oh,
So he couldn't get to the other one, which is the text I got from a fella down there said it's a 20-inch diameter tree.
Oh,
Wow.
oh dear God.
So it's a big one. So I told Randy, tomorrow morning, you gotta cut that, open the road up. Even if the car is there, just walk in.
Car
clear
is in the middle of the driveway, in the middle of the
They
road?
couldn't get in.
Ah.
They couldn't get in because of the tree. That's what it was. The first tree, the car was parked there. He cut the tree, got it out of the road, but he couldn't go no further. So I think this is a second tree. But he's been around, he's hauled 2 or 3 loads, big loads in his dump trailer of brush. And I told him, you know, just get it back far enough for the snow plow for the winter, and in the spring, we'll have a spring cleanup,
Yeah, we could have more wood.
possibly. So I think around here, we lucked out to a degree
Well, very much so.
Yes.
compared to the snow melt in Randolph and Gardner that was underwater and,
And then up in Rumford in that area where they had total road washouts.
right.
Yeah,
Oh, my
So the damage, I'll call, other than the cleanup, minimal. Even the cleanup really compared to the October 17 storm is minimal in my mind. If anybody if there's something that got missed, they just need to call me, but this Airman's Point's the only thing I know of that is still not passable, but they're all cottages,
Mhm.
pretty much, so that'll be addressed tomorrow.
Perfect, perfect. And I do want to say that, I'm sorry Dale couldn't stay, but, Dale Reno was here and we'd hoped that he would, have something to say.
Yes, I have something to add on that. I have talked with the bus driver, and she says the roads have been fantastic. And Stacy, I've talked with him, and he see Dale out during that snowstorm. He knows he's out there, he's happy. 99% of the people I've talked to are happy. So that's all I can add to that. The bus and emergency services are always been my number 1 and 2 priority.
Yeah.
And if they're happy, I'm happy.
Yeah.
And what I've heard from other people makes me even happier, because everybody seems to be happy other than a couple, I'll call them rabble rousers.
Yep, and that will always be. I do know when I talked to Dale, that he had commented that, he had gotten a lot of personal messages and very, very positive. I forget the number, I think something like 75 personal
Really?
messages.
Oh,
that-
that's nice.
I said, yeah, it's too bad they didn't all go ahead and voice their opinions openly, but the fact that people were telling him that, they were pleased with the work that he was doing.
And what I see tonight, this was the opening for anybody that had any legitimate concerns or complaints to show up.
Yep.
Nobody showed up complaining, so that tells me that overall,
People are happy.
people are happy.
Yeah, we intentionally, did the open house today on a day that he could participate. He and all his, team were there.
Yep.
And we made it a point to try to make sure that people were introduced to him, so they know who he is. And the issue again came up about, is he the Reno that, that sort of left the job? Was it Woolwich or wherever it was last year? It is not.
No.
It is his cousin or some other relative down
It's
the
a
road,
cousin,
but
and
it is not the same deal.
That
Reno
was-
and that's part of the challenge is people, when we interviewed him, we,
Town meeting.
yeah,
Didn't
we
Russ
actually interviewed
do
and
one?
asked him a point blank about that. Well, why did you leave in the middle of a contract? And it was like, it wasn't me. So he's having to deal with, a reputation that isn't his.
kind of like me, I'm in the
Yes,
same
you're
boat.
Cromwell, exactly, and
you
you're
know.
good and bad, and, but Cromwell's name is out there, and,
Yeah, unfortunately, he's faced with the same predicament I am. But anybody,
Your work shows
Well,
itself.
thank you.
Yeah.
Before I ever go public with a complaint or a positive, I know what I'm talking about and who I'm talking about before I open my mouth, so I don't look like a fool. And maybe that's what some of these other people should do, is do their research and not just jump.
Yep.
That's my recommendation to people. It works well for me to know what I'm talking about. Like at town meeting, before I go to town meeting, I do my research, so I don't go make a fool out of myself like some of these people are doing.
I think what's important is that, also, that when you see something on Facebook and you know it not to be true, to react to it. I know there was the issue about the reason, the school bus didn't run last Monday, I think it was, a week before, was because the roads, and it's like, no, it was because
Right.
the bus driver was sick,
Mm.
but, that doesn't get out there. What gets out there is,
Right. And just, there was a post on Facebook that was sent to me in a text because I don't do Facebook. And the person said I was, because you couldn't comment on the post that I had Dee Dee and April help me with. And I wanted to put on the Facebook thing, my big thing was, I don't use Facebook because it causes too much hate and discontent. But I had to make an exception because I felt the townspeople needed the facts. And I listed the facts, but you couldn't comment on it.
Mhm,
There was nothing to
right.
comment on. It was
Yep.
just a statement of facts.
Right, right.
And I was told I was trying to silence people. So I called this person. And after a brief meltdown, I hung up the phone. I was the one having the meltdown, by the way, because it was not true. And I don't do well with untruthfulness. I called him back, I apologized. I said, you need to read your post. He reread what he posted and said, I can see how you would be upset about that. And he took the post down.
Good, good.
I think
Communication.
Facebook is there's a reason I ain't involved in Facebook.
Me too.
Yeah.
Double-edged sword.
Right, it's great, I'll never ask these girls to ever post anything for me again, other than there may be a road closure or whatever. But if anybody needs any information or facts, my number is on the website.
Yep, and we're here every Monday night.
And I'm here every Monday night.
Yep.
And I plow snow, so my phone is always on.
Yeah.
They can call me in the middle of the night if they want, and I will not have a problem with that. I would rather them have the taxpayers and the people of this town, I'd rather have them have the facts and be inconvenienced a little bit myself to make sure they have the facts.
Thank you, Jim.
Well, thank you
Alright.
for what you do, and there's certainly a reason it's necessary. You gotta do what you gotta do. Yeah, and I understand. Try to.
All right, we're gonna move on to correspondence, and I just want to, I don't know if you have anything, but I wanted to mention, we had gotten, a letter from the, animal control officer. It's a renewal agreement. We are sort of required to join this. One of the things that's interesting is that they've added language, specific to indemnity, at the request of the county administrator. And so it reads as follows: indemnification and hold harmless. The town hereby agrees to indemnify, save harmless, and defend Lincoln County together with any officers, officials, managers, supervisory employee, as well as their agents, persons acting in their interest, predecessors, successors, subsidiaries, affiliates, attorneys, insurers, and assigns. This is written by a lawyer, right? And any related or affiliated entity from and against any and all liabilities, claims, penalties, forfeitures, suits, and costs and expenses incident thereto on account of or in any way arising out of this agreement. That's new language that has been added. So basically,
Do we know what it means?
I think what it's saying is, they're not
They're not gonna be held liable or responsible for
Exactly.
anything.
exactly. Yeah, there was quite a long list there of
Yeah.
who's not gonna be
Yeah.
liable for. So there will be a meeting on, the 28th of December.
Yeah, I think I knew about that.
It's a Zoom meeting as well, so I
Okay.
plan, both of us
Yeah.
plan to attend that. Not that we have any input into it, but at least to know what in the world's going on with that. So, that's, as far as I know, the only correspondence that we've had. Oh, we've also had a letter from the auditor from, who they actually have begun their audit. I don't have that handy right now, but basically we have gotten word from, Bill Brewer, who is our auditor, and they have started that auditing process. And we'll give you more information once we know that. We just signed the agreement with that. All right, admin items. Take it, April.
Oh, okay, I actually don't have the agenda in front of me. Do you mind, can I take it yours? Because I don't remember what I put on the admin list last week when we were gonna have it on Monday. Oh, yes, okay, computers.
Yes,
So I believe Ashley sent you a statement about that.
Yes, she
Ashley
did.
is still here if you want me to grab her.
that would be great.
Yeah, let me do that.
Yeah, you two might want to change places. While we're waiting for that,
Well, we can, yeah.
go into the, we mentioned the ambulance contract already, so we can mark that off. We can actually do a couple of appointments while we're waiting for her.
Yep.
One appointment is for Mary Coventry, who is going to be an election clerk for April, and a ballot clerk. So I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Mary Coventry as election clerk and ballot clerk. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Okay. And we'll sign that. And I'll put the other to the side because now we have our tax person, our finance person, Jill of all trades. We are, the agenda item is about the Harris computer. Would you like to share?
Sure.
I can walk on first.
So Harris Computer, which is Trio, that we do all of our registrations, taxes, payroll, everything. It's the whole platform that we use. They are slowly transitioning to going to their web-based platform. They hopefully want everybody to do that this spring.
Actually, how do you spell love?
Can you guys wait just a minute?
How do you spell love?
Love. But you guys gotta go out there for just a second, okay? So they want us to transition over. We have already been struggling with our computers. April and I use a lot of Word and Excel, and when you open the programs, you have to wait like a minute or two for it to even load. And then certain things, when you go to do it, it completely freezes the whole screen for like 5 minutes, so you have to go do something else and go back to it. So we're in desperate need of new computers. A lot of what we already have is used. I contacted Kyocera. They told me they use Dell products. I asked like 2 or 3 times for a quote. They never got back to me, so I moved on from them and went to Burgess Computer, who is our IT support right now. He recommended a Dell 7010 desktop model, and he gave us an HP ProBook 450 G10 notebook if we wanted to do laptops. We all discussed it and figured desktop models are better for us. So the price for all of us to get new equipment is $4,055.01. He also gave us an estimate for labor, so they'll set everything up and have us up and running for about $750.
What's the trash? Okay.
She likes being on TV.
She don't, I don't think they're aware, or they'd probably be more of a show. So I wasn't able to get a lot of quotes from other companies, so I went online and kind of price shopped for the same model. I did make sure also that that was compatible with what Trio recommends to operate their software. So you can find it a little bit cheaper if you go to like Best Buy. I'm not sure if everything's exactly the same. I would definitely need someone else to double check it. But that doesn't come with like the installation, and we're just kind of backing us up and making sure we're up and running once we get them. So they're not super high. They're, I mean, you can go cheaper, you can go higher for the same exact computer. I found them for like $1,400. So I would recommend to go with that. But
What they're recommending.
yes, but we'll also keep our current computers for other models that need to be updated, like in the community room. So if somebody needs to come in, they don't have a computer at home, we'll have one available, because the one that's in there right now.
Do we have Wi-Fi in here or something?
There
We
is
do have
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi.
Yep, free Wi-Fi.
Free Wi-Fi. Sometimes it's not the greatest, but I mean, it works. I mean,
There's no password, right, to confuse it.
No, I think it's just
Yes.
guest
Yes,
is,
yes.
I mean, you can, to get on the network, you need a password, and nobody's allowed on the network just for security purposes. But we do have Wi-Fi.
So question, so would the tech support be continuing, like, let's say, you know, they do the setup and then, I don't know, a month down the road, you have problems, is that something that,
We already have them for that.
so they already do that?
So this would just
So
be a
this is
continual,
just
Correct.
continuation.
Yeah.
So can I have your paperwork again, just because I wanna.
I should have
And
printed
just
you guys
another
some more
question
copies.
in regard to that, how does that work? Is there like a yearly contract that you do with Burgess?
With Burgess, that part I'm not 100% because we haven't renewed since I've been here.
Yeah, I'm just curious if thinking, if you do a lot of, you know, help, we need help because these are old computers, and if it costs every time
We don't
they have
pay,
to come.
I mean, we do pay them a monthly fee, but it's for like our Windows and the cloud backups that they do. And then for support, we get billed by the job. So if we,
Right.
like with the email, we get, when we transitioned over to .gov, we had to pay for like the amount of time, just their labor time.
And it's hourly for any support.
Correct, yeah.
So we'll continue basically to work with the same people who are, they've been giving us support, and we'll continue to do.
Yeah, and their recommendation of what they would support, basically.
Well, I'd like to make a motion then that, we encourage you, we give you the okay to go ahead and get the, Dell desktop and continue to work with Harris Computers to get that done, hopefully in January, February.
It's gonna depend on how quick we can get the computers up and running. And then we may have to look into at least one new printer for registrations, because Trio Web does not support the same title printer. So,
Also, to note that this was a specific line item on the
town warrant.
warrant for this year.
Yeah.
So we've
For new
already
computers, so
approved
this
this.
is not right, so it's already been.
Yeah, it's already been approved.
That point, we should,
Yeah.
Keep it down.
So I made a motion that we allow the staff to move forward with those computers working with Harris. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, so you
I'm
can
gonna
move forward.
go up
Yes.
with the children.
Thank you. Let them know they're on TV.
It's one of the best meetings I've had here
The
yet.
most entertaining.
Yes. All right, we'll continue on with some of our appointments. Another appointment we have is Richard Lawrenson to be an election clerk and ballot clerk. Do I have a second to
Second.
appoint him? All in favor? Aye. And the third appointment is Debbie Lawrenson. I'd like to make a motion that we appoint her as election clerk and ballot clerk as well. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There's actually a fourth appointment, which is Richard Coventry. I had mentioned to Mary that I could, use both of them, but I didn't know I had his permission, but he was here tonight.
Yep.
And I do, so I don't have it printed out yet for us, but if you can
Okay, so
appoint,
we
then we
can-
can
okay.
have it signed later.
So I'd like to make a motion that we approve Richard Coventry as a election clerk and a ballot clerk. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so we
Thank
can
you.
sign that for you later. All right, next on our agenda.
That was my computer.
Oh, there was the request for the use of the town hall.
Yes, okay. Barbara Craig contacted me about renting the town hall, for the Democratic caucus. Coming up, I think it's in early February. And requested that the fee be waived since they don't really have a budget, and it's kind of a civic event. So I don't have a completed rental application from her for you to sign, but if we can approve it tonight, then at least she could sort of start planning and then.
What does that entail? The caucus, and what is it?
So, caucuses are just like meetings of the parties, they have them once every 2 years. They'll just do like internal party
So
elections,
it's like a
so
fixed group of people?
any Democrat can participate.
Okay.
So presumably whoever's a member of the current Westport Island Democrats will go. But they'll also put the word out to any registered Democrat in town, and actually independents and unregistered people can go and they can fill out a registration card right there and participate as well. Town clerks used to have to go, but they changed that law, so I don't have to go to them this year.
Well, for me, it feels like it's a community thing. I know we charge when people come from away, but I would also then like to state that if we approve this and if a Republican group wanted to use it, that we would need to do offer them, if somebody on Westport Island wanted to be in charge of that. And so that would be my only comment, is to make sure that is open for any party here on Westport Island that wants to use it. then I would make a motion that we, grant, her permission to do that.
A second?
All right, all in favor? Aye. All right, I think the last thing on for administrative items is, we had talked about writing some letters to thank, people who had helped us really make sure that we finally got, Baker Road straightened out. We now have, it such that if somebody, abuses that or tries to start to get into the way or start to impede, Baker Road, we actually now can go to, the sheriff and say, you know, here's the law, here's what we've been able to prove, and so, then they can react, because in the past, they've been hesitant to do so because we didn't really have clear boundaries. So those are now clear, and so just to bring closure to that, we have written a letter, and it basically just says, thank you for supporting us and doing this. And we have, would like to send it to the sheriff, basically anybody that's involved. Carl Olson, who was in charge of doing the survey, even with the drones and whatnot. The sheriff deputy, Rand Maker, Lieutenant Brendan Kane, anybody that's been working with us from the sheriff's side. Brett Jones, who actually wrote a letter for us, giving us support, an affidavit for us. District Attorney Natasha Irving, Stacy Hutchinson also wrote an affidavit for us, supporting us, and Jim Cromwell was the third one who did that. So we have 3 letters that, not 3 letters, but letters that we would like to officially sign. We'll sign them after the meeting, but just wanted to publicly say that we are doing that for individuals. And that's all I have for admin items. Do you have anything else? April, Lisa?
No, just to reiterate our next meeting schedule, maybe.
Yes,
going
next meeting
forward,
is
so-
8th, and then the 22nd. Because it was, the first
Yep.
is
Yeah,
a Monday.
and
We have 8th and
22nd.
22nd. The 22nd, I know we will have RSU representatives. I've also reached out to the harbor master, but haven't heard back from him to see if he's also willing to do a little
If you're
presentation.
trying to have committee chairs or members report to us on a more regular basis now,
Yeah.
to kind of update us.
Any legal business, other legal business?
No, thank you.
Having none, then I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nice.